jump into renting out the farm to photographers because I felt like it was a more passive way to utilize the farm while I have lots of things growing, especially if you are growing more than you need for a U-pick style. I felt like that was the best time when I was doing U-picks to rent out the farm for photographers. That worked the best because I was having massive amounts of rows of flowers blooming all at the same time. My first time doing it, I basically have people contact me and be like, hey, I want to rent the farm for an hour, charge $1 per minute every time they're there. Photographers normally only do 1 hour to a half hour sessions, so they're really not looking to be there most times past an hour. They actually like to do shorter sessions. I actually had photographers reach out to me first. Before I did that, I would say one of my biggest things for that first year was I allowed people to pay me after they came. So they would say, oh, I'm going to be there for a 1 hour session, and they would pay afterwards. The problem with that is it's okay because actually you make more money in the end because they normally will stay longer past their time frame. If you're trying to juggle a lot of schedules, say you have a busy, you have a hard time telling people no, people can oftentimes take advantage of that situation and they can stay on the farm longer than you were hoping they would. So actually how I've avoided that is having people rent and pay ahead of time for a 30-minute session, then they've already paid. If they stay past that, they do have to pay more. So being really strict, but that has been super helpful to make sure that people are not taking advantage of my time, because even if I'm not here, I have to pay someone to be here to meet them and show them around the farm. I would say it is a great way to make money for the farm. It is very profitable with a low input. So the only thing you would need to make sure is that you had good, basically photo spots, and you would have to upkeep your rows and cutting grass and weeding and all of that. I like to make sure that my fields are really quality, that they're really beautiful for everyone. So that is one thing I would say. If I was gonna rent out the farm, that it does in a beneficial way push you as a grower to have quality field and what it looks like and upkeep of the farm. It actually pushes you to be better. So, okay, we're gonna do photographers on Friday. It pushes you to have better maintenance. So I love it in that respect because it's not, I'm like, it's just me here. It doesn't matter what everything looks like. You're renting it out, it really does matter. Other thing I would say is if you have a website, creating a portal where people can easily book. So but it will encourage a photographer to want to book. This is pretty wiggly. Because it's easy for them to book. So the easier you make basically their ability to book your farm, the more people are going to book it. So I have a booking link. I use Wix and I go through bookings, and then I'm able to put in policies. If you have a policy where you're like, hey, we only approve these kind of clients, or just particularities about your farm, or don't stay over the time limit, and if you do, you have to pay extra. Being clear about that. The booking link, I would say, is a huge benefit, and I have loved it. That way, like I said, they pay in advance and they don't stay over their time frame. Now, that is another thing, is being really sticking to your agreement. So if someone is staying past their time, you do have to be really tough with them and say, hey, well, your time is up. Did you want to book longer? Now, if you don't care if they stay longer, that's up to you. The other thing is creating really rigid guidelines for staying around the farm. Photographers can sometimes take a lot of freedom with the space, and I have had to deal with that where our home is on the property and having to tell them, hey, you can't go over there. It's my parents' property. They don't want people in their front yard or on their swings or on their porch. You need to ask. So just setting really clear guidelines, because photographers see a nice space, which is a part of their craft. I totally understand. But keeping them in line, you have to be pretty tough if you do see some of that happening and you want to keep those guidelines. Some of us are just like, hey, whatever, if that's what they want to do, no big deal. That's up to you. That's just something I would say as a flower farmer I have noticed. So the other thing I would mention is creating a policy. Depending on what your standards are There is in the fashion industry and the photographer industry. Hold on. There is more lingerie photos and all of that come out in this photography industry. So I would definitely suggest, if you have a problem with those kind of things, say you have an event going on, someone did book a photo session, they had some kind of lingerie session, that you make sure that you're setting a policy for those, or just clearing it with the photographers before they show up. Hey, I don't know what kind of photo session this is, but we ask that basically you don't do these certain things. With how beautiful that is. Anyways, so yeah, so I would say that's another thing to keep an eye out for. I would say that the most favored rows are actually just like really clean areas, easy accessible. But zinnias are really popular and sunflowers are really popular with most photographers. I do try to, what I love about having photographers is that you get quality photos of your farm. And if you ask them like, hey, can I use this photo, or can you tag me in a post, it just makes your farm more interactive with the community and with all kinds of people. So I do love it for that particular reason. I think that it is a benefit to your farm. And yeah, so I would say overall, especially if I was doing a Yupik farm, I would definitely consider opening for some rows. I don't think it's that big of a hassle, but there are a few things that photographers taking certain liberties or whatnot that can cause maybe something to think through, but I don't think it's anything that I wouldn't do, which I still do, just on a smaller scale recently, just because I don't have time to push photographers to be here. But I would say I do love that particularly for just keeping the farm up. It's actually going to be inspiring to be like, hey, we have to clean this up and get ready for people to show up here. We can't just like, oh, it's just us, so who cares if there's weeds over there, or I didn't weed eat this week, or yeah. So anyways, so those are my thoughts on renting the farm out. I will share my booking link below. That way you can see how I do that and what that looks like. But if you have any questions, leave them in the comments.